Today, friends, we are going to talk about deconstruction. The theory of deconstruction was given by Jacques Derrida. I hope you all know about Jacques Derrida. Jacques Derrida was a French philosopher and he was born in Algeria. You must be knowing that Algeria was a French colony for a long period of time. So Jacques Derrida was born in Algeria, but he was basically French in origin. Now, before we plunge into the topic of deconstruction, I want you to know what is formalism. I hope you must have read about formalism. So first we will briefly touch on formalism. Formalism involves ways that analyze, interpret, evaluate and the inherent features of the text. Suppose grammar and syntax, the literary devices that are used in the text, like meter and figures of speech. And in formalism, there is no importance given to the historical, biographical and cultural context in which the text is written, is given. Okay, so in formalism, we analyze the underlying grammar, the syntax, the sentence structure, the literary devices used, some like meters and the figures of speech, the various figures of speech. What all figures of speech are used in the poem. So this is all about formalism. Now I have touched it very briefly. If you want to know in the details, you can always search Google or you can request in the comment section and I will take this topic up and make a separate video for formalism. But as of now, I think this much is enough for you to understand the theory of deconstruction. Now, what is deconstruction? As I told you at the very outset that Jacques Derrida, French philosopher, developed the concept of deconstruction. Deconstruction is not an analysis. It is not a critique or a method. It is nothing. It is not any of these. There is no definition for deconstruction. Deconstruction is one of the many methods of reading and interpreting literary text. Okay, so deconstruction, you can say it's a literary theory given by Jacques Derrida, but according to Derrida, it was nothing. It was neither a method, nor an analysis, nor a critique. Even Derrida hasn't given any definition of deconstruction. So deconstruction is basically all about deconstructing the text, deconstructing or opposing the preconceived notions related to the text. Now, how to deconstruct a text? You should keep certain points in mind before deconstructing a text. First of all, what you would do, expose the underlying ideologies and cultural biases in our text. Next, questions the ingrained assumptions to see things in a new light. It will be clear when we go through the later slides. Okay, so now I told you two things about how to deconstruct a text. Now here we are basically deconstructing a single line of Shakespeare's sonnet 18. It read, "Shall I compare thee to a summer's day?" So number one requirement for deconstructing a text is to oppose the prevailing wisdom. According to the traditional approach, if we go by traditional approach, the assumption is that the poet is talking about a woman. That the poet is talking about a woman, his beloved. This is the traditional theory. Like you will read in all other, wherever you will read the explanation of Shakespeare's sonnet 18, you will read that the poet is talking about a woman and the woman is his beloved. But what if we deconstruct this text in the light of Jacques Derrida's theory? So when we deconstruct, we just shake off whatever assumptions are there in our minds, and we will look at the text from a very new and different perspective. So when we deconstruct this sonnet, it could be he is talking about a man. It isn't that he is talking about a woman. It could be he is talking about a man. if the poet is gay or is sarcastic about his ex-lover. He's not talking about that he loves, he's not talking about his beloved. Maybe the woman is his ex-lover and he's getting sarcastic, like this, he's comparing her to a harsh weather of the summer. So this is called deconstruction. So according to deconstruction, you got to unhinge yourself from traditional interpretations and analyze the text from a different perspective, challenging the old beliefs and norms, critically opposing them. So first point of deconstructing the text is to oppose the prevailing wisdom. Now, the second point you should keep in mind is to expose cultural bias. Cultural biases are present in the form of binaries or hierarchical positions. Rich versus poor, male versus female, black versus white. Okay, so all these are cultural biases. In a text, if a poet personifies everything in nature, the sun, the moon, the sea, as being male, the text has a male bias. So it's your job. It's your job to find out what kind of cultural biases are hidden in the text. For example, if you read the novel Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, you will see that the text is somewhat mm, uh, the upper classes dominated all over the text. Okay, so in this way we deconstruct or read anything novel or any theory. Okay, so we move on to the next slide. Okay, now here is a small snippet is given from some book. I don't remember the name of the book, and here we will analyze the sentence structure. This is the third, I believe, the third point in deconstructing a text. First, we will read the snippet. He took her to the store. He brought her earrings. He found some food she would like. Now look at the arrangement of subject and object. Here the subject, he, is dominated over the object, her. He is doing everything, and her is just a mute spectator. Look, if the object is some way treated inferiorly, obviously in this snippet the object, her, is treated inferiorly. He is dominant over she, male dominance over female. The text is culturally biased toward patriarchy or male superiority. So this is in this way we will deconstruct the text. Now the fourth point is play with possible meaning. Now this is very important point, and it will clear when we move on and read the later slides. There is no single meaning of the text. There are several possible interpretations of the text. No definite meaning, no stable interpretation, no central idea, nothing. Whenever you look at the text, you just shake off all the traditional assumptions from your mind, and then read the text in the new light, in the light of deconstruction. Now, structuralism and deconstruction. So first, before at the very outset, I told you about formalism. Now we will touch on deconstruction, structuralism, and compare it to the deconstruction. So, what is structuralism? I hope you all must have read about deconstruction. Structuralism. So I will briefly touch it here, and then we will move on to the difference between structuralism and deconstruction, and how deconstruction opposes structuralism in all possible ways. According to structuralism, there is some sort of structure underlying all cultural phenomena. Language has a deep structure, families have deep structure, literature has a deep structure. So according to structuralism, everything has a structure, whether it's a poem, novel, or drama. A poem follows a definite structure. A novel has a beginning, middle, and end, and a drama is divided into acts and scenes. So these are all structures. Like according to structuralism, there is an underlying structure behind everything. Everything could be analyzed in terms of a deep structure, according to structuralism. Language is a sign system. Likewise, underlying pattern or structures shape all human experiences. Now, in the same topic, structuralism and deconstruction, we will talk about land, parole, and other terms related to structuralism. I think you must have read all about in structuralism if you have done this in first year. So here I will briefly touch on lang. Lang is the underlying grammar, the deep structure of the language. Whatever we speak is parole, and the way we speak, the grammar we use, the pronouns, the verbs, and all those things we use is called lang, while the speech act is parole. Signifier, a word that refers to a specific concept. Signified, the concept. Like tree. Tree is a signifier. And whenever I say tree, there is some sort of image comes up in your mind. So that image that is the concept of a tree. Likewise, if I say chair, chair is a signifier. And the thing that comes in your mind like a wooden thing with four legs and mm, handles, or you can say, or and a back, wooden back. So this concept is signified. The signifier and the signified, yet these two together make a sign. So sign is a word, signifier is a word, and signified is the concept. Moving on to the next slide. Now the interesting part comes here. The concept of sign, signifier, and signified is baseless according to deconstruction. According to deconstruction, there is no structure. If there is no structure, there is no center, there is no univocal meaning. So structuralism says that there is a structure. If there is a structure, there is a center. If there is a center, there is a definite meaning. But in deconstruction, there is no structure. There is no underlying structure. There is no center. There is no univocal meaning. A text has several meanings. Each reader reads it differently and interprets it in a different way. So you will read a novel and understand the meaning differently. I will read a novel and understand its meaning differently. The signifier does not refer to a definite signified but produces other signifiers instead. Now, this is a very interesting thing, and this portion will get clear as we move on to the next and several other later slides. Signifier, according to structuralism, refers to a concept, but in deconstruction, the signifier does not refer to a definite signified, but produces a long list of signifiers, and it is an unending process. Now, I will tell you how signified produces a long list of signifiers. Now, water. There is no definite concept about water or set image for water. When we think of water, we can think of water drops in the form of lake, like a swimming pool, a glass of water, rain, a chemical symbol, H2O. Water has indefinite signifiers. Each signifier can trigger another set of signifiers. It is an endless process and there is only chain of signifiers other than signified. Meaning is moving from one signifier to another and it endlessly continues. Since meaning is infinite, we cannot get absolute meaning of any word. This is what deconstruction is all about. We will never get a definite true meaning of any word. As we can't be satisfied with meaning, we have to go further to search the meaning. As a result, we don't have final knowledge. We don't get fixed meaning. Now, the theory of deconstruction. Hottois was a philosopher, I believe a German philosopher. You can check in Google, German or French, maybe German, I guess. Deconstruction refers to all of the technique and strategies used by Derrida in order to destabilize, crack open, and displace texts that are explicitly or invisibly idealistic. So this is said by Hottois. Now, how to deconstruct? There are two phases of deconstruction. In the first phase, we reverse the hierarchy between two opposite terms, between two binary opposite terms like black and white, male, female, color, European and third world. So we will writing and speech. So we will reverse this phase. We will and we give importance to the lowest term. Okay, so this is the reversal phase. Then the second is the neutralization phase. After reversal, what we do, we neutralize. There is no hierarchy at all. Even if the lowest term gets dominance on the dominant term in the reversal phase, in the neutralization phase, we neutralize everything. The term favored in the first phase must be uprooted from binary logic. No dualistic thinking at all. We will not think in binaries. We will not think in hierarchies. We will not think in binaries. And we get androgyny. Like male-female dominance is totally uprooted. We will get androgyny. We will get super speech. We will get archaiting. The new term becomes undecidable. Two previously opposite poles get merged together. So this is how we deconstruct. Now finally Derrida's ideas, no center. There is no central idea behind any poem according to Derrida. There is no final meaning. A poem has no final meaning, a novel has no final meaning, a drama has no final meaning. Each reader, each audience, each spectator, each of us derive their own meanings, interpret the text, the act, the reading differently. No binary oppositions, no truth. Derrida's ideas influenced subsequent thinkers and their theories. These are psychoanalysis, new historicism, cultural studies, post-colonialism, feminism, and so on. Now, at the end, we will deconstruct. Do a deconstructive analysis of John Donne's Cannonization. I hope you all must have done this poem in your first years. It's a very nice poem where a poet is talking, where the poet is saying, "Hold." I'm not exactly recalling the first lines, but what I can recollect is that the poet is um, somewhat scolding um, people or the people of the materialistic world to stop disturbing him and let him love his beloved. So we can very well make out that the poet is somewhat opposing the public life. He wants to be his beloved, he wants to be alone with his beloved, and he doesn't want to go and mingle with the material people living in the materialistic world. He's happy in his private life. So there is a binary opposition. The private life is preferred over public life. The love-centered world is preferred over material world. In the opening para, the poet gives preference to private life over public life, love-centered world over material world. But in the later paras, the poet urges his friends and other people to um, um, give them place in the to make their tombs, to uh, uh, write poems and texts about them, about him and his beloved. So in some way the poet is seeking some kind of a place in the materialistic world. So he himself deconstructs his previous notions. Earlier he was preferring love-centered world, the spiritual world, the world where he and his beloved is alone and enjoying their lives. But in the later paragraph, at almost the end of the poem, he is preferring the materialistic world. He is seeking a place in the materialistic world. So he himself deconstructs his own notions. He himself reverses the hierarchies by yearning to be praised and remembered by the public. So this was the deconstructive analysis of John Donne's poem. Now at the end, I want you to know that if you want to learn more, learn deconstruction in more detail, you comment, and once I have 10 requests, I will take a class on deconstruction through YouTube Live. If you want to learn more about deconstruction, you want to get a clear picture and ask questions, so you can always comment. That's it for today. I will soon come up with my next video in a few days. Thank you.